So this is how we scaled Dr. Marc using our expertise at content. Now, before I start, this is what Dr. Marc had to say about us.
I've been working with Drew for a few months now, and he nailed my brand voice very quickly. Everything he writes sounds like me, and he uses actual research to guide his ideas and his titles and his structure to keep people watching for longer. He has seamlessly plugged himself into my business, so if you're a founder, a consultant, or a coach, and you want some help with your social media content, bring him on board.
So why would a random guy sitting across the ocean say these things about me? Well, let's understand that. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the output. What exactly was the output like for Dr. Marc whilst working with us? First of all, we took him from almost 11,000 subscribers to a total of 15,000 subscribers, which was 36.7%, almost a 37% increase in the number of subscribers he gained. We gained a total of 13.2 thousand long form views and 54 to 55,000 short form views, and 80% of the views came from short form content. We posted a total of 9 long form videos for him, out of which we extracted 47 pieces of short form content, and which gained a total of 67,000 views across multiple platforms. And we were booking an estimate of 20 to 50 calls every month for him through content. Now, this is a very simple dashboard, and I know these views are minuscule. Who would want to make a case study out of 13,000 views or 60,000 views, right? Other people out there are talking about billions of views. The reason is because we create hyper-targeted content. What that means is that our goal is not the views. It was never the views. The goal is to attract people who are ready to buy and make them take action, right? So moving forward, let's talk about the problem. What exactly was the problem with Marc's content? Marc had the expertise, he had the growing audience, he had the channel, he was posting content, but it was very stressful and hard for him because he did not have a system, he did not have an expert doing it for him, and his content, even though he posted some here and there, wasn't bringing great results for him. So, as his marketing manager said on a call with us, that they wanted someone with content expertise on their side, right? Research, planning, and script writing take a lot of their time, and having my support, our support, helps them manage the workload more effectively, right? So let's talk about the system. This was the gap. This was the problem. He did not have a system. So what exactly did we do for Marc that actually got all these results that I'm talking about? So many calls, hundreds of calls and hundreds of thousands of dollars being made in the process. Well, the system was very simple, right? Now, Marc's team was spending hours every week on research, scripting, and all of that stuff, right? And that gap is what our strategy was built to fix, right? So before even a single video got made, our goal was to do all of the research and make sure that we are not like an alien stepping in to make their content, and the content is completely different after we step in. So what we did is, first of all, we applied all of our systems that we do for all of our clients in order to integrate ourselves into their process super smoothly. First of all, we did the niche and competitor research, right? So we mapped out all of Marc's competitors in his niche and other niches, and we figured out their outliers, their videos that outperformed the norm. And we took those videos, we took inspiration for them, and built a strategy around them based on what already works, right? I mean, if you're creating content for yourself, you have to understand this, that it's not about coming up with novel ideas. Content is primarily about figuring out what's already working and just copying it, taking inspiration from it at the very least, So yeah, furthermore, we did the keyword and demand gap research. Now, what this means is we basically try to figure out keywords or terms that in his niche that had a lot of search volume and people were searching them, but they did not have any answers to look up to. Now, that is a gap, right? You're searching something, but there's no great content about that topic. That's where we inject our client's content and make sure that those people get the answers, and our client is the expert in their eyes. Furthermore, we did the creator DNA analysis. Now, what this means is that you cannot just step into anyone's content and just not look like an alien. So what we do to counter that is we do this, the creator DNA analysis. We take a lot of their pre-existing content, all of their videos, their speaking style, their how they speak and all that stuff from their pre-existing catalog. So every single one of their scripts sounds like them. It does not sound like, oh, there's a guy behind the process, or there's a new guy who's doing this. No, it should sound like Marc. So these three systems, combined with hundreds of other things that we did behind the scenes for him, helped us build a simple, repeatable system for video production for Marc. Okay, so from here onwards, every single video moves through a repeatable system, with research applied at the right point in the process. Okay, so first of all, let's dive deep into this whole process. First of all, we did the research, we did everything that I talked about right up here. Okay, after that, we did the topic selection. So first of all, we tried to find the best topics from Marc's niche, and we send those topics to Marc for him to choose whichever topic he wants to make a video on. After that, we made a script on that video using all of the research that we did in the past, the whole creator DNA analysis thing, right? After that, we did the title and the SEO and the thumbnail. So for the thumbnail, we had a custom design identity built for Marc, so that whenever anyone sees a video from Marc, whenever they see the thumbnail, they don't have to think that, okay, this is Mark. No, this is Mark, because this is what his design looks like. It's a no-brainer, right? And for the title and the SEO, yeah, we A/B tested multiple thumbnails, multiple titles, and figured out what works and what does not. At the end of the whole process, we did the evergreen content repurposing funnel, which is basically taking their pre-existing content. So he did a 10-minute video with us, which, on which he had to spend like an hour recording. Now, I don't want that video to die out after a single upload on YouTube. So what we do is we extract multiple pieces of different formats of content that can be uploaded onto multiple platforms. So we extracted short form content for Reels, for YouTube Shorts, for TikTok. We extracted written content for X, for basically Twitter and LinkedIn. And we extracted carousels because they work very well when it comes to reviving dead followers. Now, and yeah, all of this led to was expanded reach, right? All of this content gave us a bigger surface area to get a lot of new leads in from. Okay. Furthermore, let's talk about the results and the performance. Okay. So the results have been divided across three verticals here. First of all, the views and the engagement. Second of all, the money he made and the conversions that he got from the content. And third of all, a lead generation funnel we've worked on marketing with Mark. So first of all, let's talk about the views and the engagement, right? As I said earlier, our goal was not to produce a single viral hit or to get 10 million views on a single one of his videos. Our goal was to build a system that got him consistent conversion, that got him predictable growth, right? By combining strategic topic selection, audience research, and voice-matched scripting, and a repeatable production process, we generated stronger performance across long form while simultaneously reducing the amount of time Mark had to spend on content creation. The result was a more efficient content ecosystem, a more efficient content engine that produced above average results for him. And it freed up so much of his time, which he could now spend on his coaching, his business, and his family, right? And as I mentioned, the primary objective of short form content was to attract unqualified audiences, to replenish the content ecosystem, and the long form nurtured those audiences to convert them from viewers to action takers to buyers, right? And yeah, these are the stats that I talked about in the beginning. Furthermore, let's talk about the money and the conversions and the revenue. Okay, so the best performing videos weren't necessarily the ones who had the highest views. This one video we did with him, stop being salesy, get clients with this free report, which was targeted for nutrition coaches. That single video drove hundreds of people into Mark's lead generation funnel that I'm going to talk about later down the line. Okay, now as Josie put it, Mark's marketing manager, the search comparison video was leading the right people into the challenge funnel, right? So it was doing its job, basically. That's what she means, right? And yeah, the real objective, which was actually the real objective of the content strategy, right? It was not the views or any of that. Rather than chasing vanity metrics, every video was designed to attract qualified prospects, answer specific questions, build the trust, build the authority, and move viewers towards the next step in Mark's customer journey, right? And yeah, based on all this performance, based on all of this, we estimated that he was getting a total of 10 to 20 calls in the first few months of working with us. But by the end of it, by the 6th or 7th month of us working together, he was getting 20 to 50 calls booked every single month. Okay, that is huge. Now, together, short form and long form created a content ecosystem that wasn't built to maximize views alone. It was built to consistently attract the right people and to convert them into action takers, right? Now, let's talk about the 3-day challenge launch we did with him. First of all, Mark wanted a funnel that was going to bring people from his content from across all the platforms, into calls booked onto his calendar. Now, our job was to build a single video around this challenge, right? We studied the challenge, we developed the video's positioning and messaging, and designed the entire funnel around moving the right people from viewers to participants. Beyond the video itself, we also prepared an organic amplification strategy that encouraged participants to share their progress through Instagram stories, right? So everyone in that particular challenge, the 3-day challenge, shared stories on Instagram with their pics and everything. Now that, again, gave us a wider surface area and much more recognition on social media, right? And yeah, this in the result was a highly successful launch with over 300 people being enrolled within the first day. Okay, so that is huge, and I'm pretty sure out of this, Mark closed hundreds of people, which was converted into cash collected for him, right? So yeah, this was the entire case study, and you could be our next case study because we know what we're doing. We've been doing this for years and years now, and I know how to create content that sells. If you've watched it until now, let's see you on a meeting. Thank you for watching.